But if I have to use an omnidirectional lavalier mic like this, then this is what that sounds like, and this is what the lavalier mic sounds like after installing the panels. Even if you have a very good mic and high-end studio monitors, you will still get terrible sound quality without room treatment, and that is the issue that had been bothering me since I shifted into my new studio. You may have seen these foam panels or Rockwool panels online, but without any experience, you don't know how many and which type of panels to buy, where to place them, and how much of a difference you can even expect at different budgets. I also faced all of these issues, but today I will show you measurements and real-world examples of the difference that these Timber Acoustics panels and bass traps made for me, and we will also talk about some other important things. Hey guys, I am Siddharth, and Timber Acoustics did agree to give me a small discount for making this video, but I am going to be totally honest about them because making the content biased costs a lot more on this channel. The panels came well packaged like this, and they also provide you with all the mounting accessories that you will need. The bracket for the panels is already screwed in, and for the ceiling panel I also got this very nice adjustable wire suspension kit that is very secure. The overall fit and finish of these panels is really excellent. The dimensions are almost perfect, every panel is precisely cut, and the fabric is installed very cleanly. The breathable backside also lets you leverage the air gap. They do have their branding in the corner, but it's just a small rubber logo that doesn't look bad. If you remove it, it really leaves a bad glue stain, so if you want to not have it, you can ask them to not paste this before placing the order. Installation was time consuming for me as it took me 8 hours with professional help. I couldn't wait for a week to get another ceiling panel, so I just mounted this wall panel on my ceiling, which was quite tricky. They also have lots of colors available to choose from. I went with a mixed set of grey and white panels because I thought that grey panels might make the room look too dark, but these grey panels are of a very light shade, so I would really recommend to just go for grey instead of white color like me, because the white panels can get stained very easily and the grey panels also have a really nice texture on them. Now, before buying from them, I was also thinking about getting these panels made locally, and that can be a doable option, but I was only able to find bare Rockwool panels online, and after adding the costs of the wood, the protective layers, the acoustic fabric, the labor, the packaging and transportation, I calculated that Timber Acoustics probably don't have a big margin on these. If you can get Rockwool locally for cheap, then this can become a more feasible option, but Rockwool is very risky to work with. It can really damage your eyes and your lungs if you inhale its particles, so if you can use protective gear and you are confident that you can make a product that is as well finished as these for a lower cost, then you can try that. There are also other materials which can be an alternative for Rockwool like recycled denim, but I am not sure where to get them in India. One thing that can really confuse people is how you only get 2 inches of Rockwool in their 3-inch panel and 4 inches of Rockwool in a 5-inch panel. Even a single inch can make a big difference in performance of these panels, so getting 1 inch less doesn't feel so great, but having an air gap actually increases the performance of these panels, and having that built in is very nice. If you are planning to treat your room for listening to speakers or mixing with them, then I will really recommend that you go for the 5-inch broadband absorbers, because the 3-inch panels with 2 inches of Rockwool are really not going to be enough for lower frequencies. If you just want these panels for an office so your staff can hear each other better, then the 3-inch panels are good because they will absorb a lot of the frequencies in human speech, and a friend of mine just did that for his office. I would also advise against getting foam panels like these, because even if you think that they will work, by the time you get enough of them to have enough mass as one of these broadband panels, you will already have spent a lot of money, and Rockwool is going to be much more effective than foam. You can do your own research on what kind of Rockwool panels will be the best for you, and you can also contact their customer support for guidance. If you want to reduce echo and reflections, then you can get these wall panels first, but for treating uneven frequency response, you should get some bass traps first, and it is a combination of both that is going to give you proper acoustic treatment. My studio has 3 sections, and the one that I record in is over 30 feet in length and 14 feet in width. It is not a small space, so I went for 6 of these 6 feet bass traps for the 6 corners of my studio, and I also got 9 of these thick broadband absorbers. You should have at least 1 panel for your ceiling, so I got that too, and I also installed one of the wall panels as a ceiling cloud. This is a very rough diagram of how I placed them. The area around my microphone has good coverage along with a ceiling panel, and I also installed these panels on the main reflection points from my speakers along with this big ceiling cloud. The more panels you have, the more control you will get, but if you place your panels at the right places, you can also get a lot out of a limited number of panels. Even adding a few panels on the main reflection points can make a big difference. This base trap is designed in a way that maximizes the material to performance efficiency by really utilizing the air gap, but for controlling the frequencies below 150 Hz, you should really aim for these very thick bass traps, because even these 5-inch ones will not be thick enough for deep bass frequencies. You can ask Timber Acoustics to make thicker panels as a custom order, and they also have other kinds of panels and diffusers that you can choose according to your preferences. Do give this video a thumbs up if you are also not rich enough to buy this wooden diffuser. Now let's finally see what kind of a difference these panels made for me. So this is what it sounds like without any panels, and there is a lot of reverb even with this cardioid condenser mic at such a close distance. I can kind of control the reverb using the plugins, but that does result in an artificial sound. And this is what it sounds like after installing these panels. For this section, I am not applying any EQ or compression or noise reduction, so you can really hear what this sounds like in its raw form. Now that was from this mic, but if I have to use an omnidirectional lavalier mic like this, then this is what that sounds like, and I'm sure you must be able to hear how terrible it is. And this is what the lavalier mic sounds like after installing the panels. I still don't like how tube-like the lav mics can sound, but if I want, I can at least use a lav mic here, and I may even be able to use a capsule mic which is out of the frame, which was just not possible without these panels. So now we are just casually walking in the room, and you must be able to hear how terrible the audio sounds because of the reflections. If the microphone is at a distance, then it is just completely unusable. So I am quite curious to see what kind of a difference we will have once I install the panels. And this is what it sounds like after installing these panels, and I can already hear that the whole studio has a much better control over its reverb. That is my ceiling cloud, looks so cool. There is still one section of the studio that doesn't have that good of a control over reverb, and that is this one, because we don't have many panels here that are placed at the right positions. But that is totally fine because I'm not recording anything here or like even listening to speakers. I am sure you could hear how bad the audio was without these panels. For me, they have really made a very incredible difference. It feels almost weird to hear almost no reverb in a room that is so big because your brain is just not used to it. My speakers also sound incredibly better. Now let's take a look at some measurements, and I know that RT60 and waterfall graphs are not accurate tests for rooms and studio monitors, but we are just observing the comparative results here, and you can see in this RT60 graph how bad the decay of different frequencies was, which is shown by higher values on the y-axis. This is the waterfall graph comparison, and here you can also see how incredibly shortened the decay has become for everything over 180 Hz. This is the comparison of frequency response, and the blue line is after installing the panels. You can see how the graph is more even now. The bass frequencies have also seen a dramatic improvement, but the deep bass area is still kind of problematic in my room, and I think that the only solution would be to have bass traps that are 8 or even 12 inches thick. But overall, the results have really exceeded my expectations because I didn't think I would be able to have such a control by just having one panel in the 5 main reflection points. The panels and bass traps I installed are worth 80,000 rupees, and the results are absolutely worth that amount. If you have a smaller space and you don't need to treat 2 points in your room like me, then I think that even after spending less than 30,000 rupees, you will notice a serious difference if you place these panels correctly. You can even start with just a few of them, and then you can keep adding them according to your budget and time, and I will have the links to check them out in the video description. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. I would love to answer any of the questions that you may have in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.